The 3764 Elvis Presley Boulevard. Hit it, Elvis. You got me.
Hey everybody, EP back on tour coming to you from Cincinnati, Ohio. We have got a phenomenal video in store for you guys. We're going to go through deep dive. We're going to show you some things you didn't know, clear up some things that were thought to be otherwise, but they're not now because we figured them out. Basically what we're doing is we're starting at the Netherland Hotel. This is where Elvis stayed in March of '76, and then he was here for just about a minute in June of '77 when he got upset and left the hotel. So we'll get into all that in just a minute, but we wanted to start off here because we stayed here at Elvis's hotel last night, and we went through and did a lot of photography work, went down to the venue where Elvis played, which was then the Riverfront Coliseum. They've renamed it now, same building. And we're gonna also get into Cincinnati Gardens, where Elvis played in November of '71 and June of '73. And then we're gonna go down to the Coliseum later today, and we're gonna do some work down there and show you all that stuff. That's where Elvis performed in '76 and '77. So we're going to get into all that. We're going to deep dive, so stand by. You're going to enjoy this. Grab some popcorn and a drink, because this is going to be a long video, and we're really going to deep dive into some good Elvis history. Hope you enjoy it. So just real quick, wanted to give you a little bit of history on these buildings. We always like to give backstories to all the stuff that we do, just to give you a little bit of, kind of flesh it out a little bit. So this Hilton Hotel started construction in 1929. The building was completed in 1931, and it opened in 1931. And here's the thing about it. So this, if Michael can pan up there, this building on the right is the hotel part. And then over there to the left, and this hotel is 29 stories. And then over there, if you can see it, a much taller building, that's called the Carew Tower. But they're joined together, so they're not separate buildings. They're joined together. You can get down through there through a couple different walkways at different places in the hotel. So just wanted to show you that. And the other thing that we wanted to point out, there's a lot of videos out there, and there's a lot of people that say, that Elvis 100% always stayed on the top floor. That is absolutely false. Michael and I have a large collection, probably 95% of the tour sheets from all the tours that Elvis did over the course of the touring years in the 1970s. And we've gone to a lot of these hotels. We've stayed on the floors. We've actually stayed in the rooms that he stayed in. And what we figured out, it's going to be based on the hotel. And a lot of times, some of the nicer rooms are placed in different locations in these hotels. It's not always on the top floor. We've actually stayed in hotels where Elvis may have stayed a couple floors down, and we just wanted to point that out. And the other story out there is that people always believe that he stayed literally across the street from whatever venue he was performing in. In this case, it's about probably 7 blocks to Riverfront. Yesterday we were at Cincinnati Gardens. That was 2 miles away from there. But we've also gone to Augusta, Maine, where Elvis performed at in 1977 for his only Maine performance. That was 50 miles. Elvis stayed in Portland, Maine, and then they took him up to Augusta, Maine for the show. So we just want to clear that up. A lot of people just seem to think that he always stayed on the top floor. That's a misnomer. It's that some of the finer rooms are always not on the top floor. Now, we do not have the rooming list for this particular hotel for that particular tour. So we're not 100% sure what floor he stayed on in this hotel. We're just trying to point that out, that it wasn't always on the top floor. So we want to give you a little bit of background to the infamous walk that Elvis took in June of '77 when he left this hotel. So basically he was up on his floor, came down on the service elevator. This is a public service bank, so he wouldn't have come down on any one of these. And it was the best way for him to avoid any kind of public contact. So when he got mad, he just got on the service elevator and he came down. The service elevator is back there. We've been back there and we've seen it. So he would have come through here, through this door, and basically you'll see how easy it was for him just to get out, avoiding really everybody. Just came through here, Everybody has seen this door. If you've been an Elvis fan for longer than a day, everybody will recognize this door. There's the door. So through that door, Elvis came out, and you're going to see some stuff. We're going to try to do some overlays, some pictures in there where we show you. You'll see some skywalks in here in different places that aren't here anymore. The city is kind of doing away with those crosswalks. We'll overlay. There are a few left, but we'll overlay some pictures of the ones that remain. Those are all gone now, so you won't see those. And this was called Lerner's Shops. We did some research, and that was a clothing store, and it was started back in 1918. And that's now gone. Then it became a Macy's, and now it's, I'm not sure what it is, but there's offices, some restaurants, and things like that over there. So basically, we've been here before. Years ago, we came here, and we'll do a picture overlay in there where it shows me coming out the door. I'd kind of like maybe get Michael to do a thing where we show the Elvis picture and then me about 8 years ago, and then we'll do another picture here and we'll just kind of show you the progression of time. But that's the door. Elvis basically came out that door, turned, went up there, crossed the street, and then the Stofers was, if Michael can come out here a little bit, he would have gone up there and then turned right. And the Stofers was kind of back in there, tucked in behind that building. But now the street that you would have to walk up, it's blocked off because that massive building is taking up literally 2 city blocks. So there's absolutely no sense in us taking the walk because we wouldn't be taking the walk that Elvis took. And we only kind of do what Elvis did. So we just kind of wanted to wrap that up for you, show you how easy it was for him to get out of here, and now you know a little bit more of the story.
All right, guys, so this is a big moment in our video. Last night when we were here, we spent maybe half of the night trying to figure out where these photos were taken. We were asking staff, we were asking people in the restaurants that work here, we were asking everybody where these photos were taken because we walked all around this building multiple times. And we finally figured out that this is where these photos were taken of Elvis coming out to head to the show. And the reason we know this is because if you look in the picture, you'll see in the background a slant. And that's just this overlay here over the brick is what you see. It's like paint, and this is like a metal kind of overlay of the brick. And then you can also see how when he hits the street level, he was coming up a ramp. And right when he got to street level, when these photos were taken, it flattens out, and you can see in the photo the slant going down. And then down there, we're going to show you what it looks like where another photo was taken, and that was the service entrance for the cars. And a few other points that we noticed is in that photo, you see some fans standing right here. You know, you see, I think it's a man and a woman standing right here behind the car, you know, waving and everything. And then if you notice in the picture, this took a while for me to figure this out, but if you zoom in on the picture like really far, you can see that it looks like something's open behind them. Well, this is to the valet parking. And so make sure no cars are coming. This garage was open. And then if you look, this was another telltale sign that I figured out. It looks like a pipe, but it's actually the brick jut right here where it comes off of the wall. This looks like a pipe, but from where the photo was taken, it looks like a pipe. And that goes down into the valet parking. So this is not where that photo was taken. We figured that out last night. And if you go to the other side, there's one that looks just like that. And we were like, it's not this, it's not that, where is it? And then last night, we come by and the garage door was down on that ramp. And I could see when the garage door is down, you can see a little bit of a slope. And I said, I bet you it was there. And we went and asked, and they said, that's a service entrance for the cars. And I said, I bet you if that door opens, that's where that photo was taken. And I bet you that's where the photos that we're going to show you later were taken. And we'll go into detail next. But we were so excited when we figured this out, that this is where these photos were taken. Like I said, people were standing right here waving, and then you can see the door open behind them. And then this is right where the photo, or the car was coming in the photo. And where Dad is standing is kind of where the photographer was. But this is where those photos were taken of him and Linda in the car and all that heading to the show. And it's where it is. I mean, we were so excited when we figured out that these this is where those photos were taken, but this is where he came in and out of when he was here. So guys, we're down here in the service parking garage here at the Netherlands, and there's been speculation of where this specific photo was taken of Elvis in the parking garage. And after a lot of walking around this building and a lot of research, we figured out that it was taken right here where this car is. Some key details that you can see is the drop ceiling here, the piping. And so when Elvis was here, the photo that you're seeing was him in '76, one of the few times he wore the penguin suit. But drop ceiling here, and then he would have come out of the service elevator over here, which right now is out of order. But he would have come out of here, come out of this door or elevator, and his car would have been right here. And so then he would have walked over here. It might have been a worker or a fan that was able to get down here, took the photo, and then he went up the ramp and went on street level. The reason that he would have parked his car here is because this is not the valet, or this is not the self-park parking garage. This is where, he was out of the public. Service elevator would have dropped him right there. He would have gotten his car and he would have been out. Wouldn't have had to go through any public areas or, been with any crowds. And then they would have gone right up that ramp and probably taken a right, or could have taken a left. Not sure how the one-ways was working here in the city back then.
Okay guys, behind me is where Cincinnati Gardens stood at one time. Obviously it's not now. Cincinnati Gardens has been gone for a long, long time. Michael and I came here many years ago when we were doing our tours cross country. And when we set up this tour, we wanted to make sure, even though it's not here anymore, we still wanted to come to the spot and show you, because when we do the video, Michael can show you the footprint of where the building stood then, and then we can overlay the pictures that we took years ago when we were here. Back then, Elvis performed here in on November 11, 1971, and in June 27, 1973. And the building seated, in its heyday, seated 13,200. And by all accounts, the two shows that Elvis did perform here were phenomenal shows. We're also going to take you to where Elvis stayed for those shows. It was a place called the Carousel Inn, and it's about 2 miles from here. We're going to go there. It's no longer in existence. It was torn down some time ago. And also, we are I think about 11 miles from when Elvis returned to Cincinnati. He played what was then Riverfront Coliseum, which makes up the bulk of this video. So he was about 11, when he was here, he was about 11 miles from where he would wind up performing. And so we just wanted to come here, and we'll overlay the photos of when we came here, and we'll show you what it looked like then, but we couldn't come here without showing you what it looks like today. So 50 some years ago, Elvis was here, and then again in 1971, he was here in 1971 and 73. So a long, long time has passed, and this is what the changing of time does. In an effort to bring you the full picture during our video of Elvis's time in Cincinnati, we wanted to come and show you how time has such an effect on Elvis's history. We're at the site of what once was the Carousel Inn. It was a large facility here, and I've read several articles and I've seen pictures. We're going to overlay some pictures on the video and show you what it looked like in its time. But it was a beautiful, kind of like a motel situation with almost like a resort. And I've read several articles about it, and it said it was basically the talk of the town. It's about 2 miles to Cincinnati Gardens from here. So they would have turned right out of here, went up about a mile, made a left, and then Cincinnati Gardens. So very close to the building where Elvis performed in 71 and 73. But again, we just, sorry it's a vacant lot, but this is where it stood, and this is where Elvis stayed, and we just wanted to make sure we included it.
All right, guys, we're here outside what was the Riverfront Coliseum. As you can see, it is no longer that, but when Elvis performed here in 1976 and 1977, it was the Riverfront Coliseum. We always go by the original name, so that's how we're going to refer to it in this video. So Elvis performed, when he came here in Cincinnati in 71 and 73, he performed at Cincinnati Gardens, which is no longer there. And then when this building opened in 1975, and then Elvis came back in 76 and 77, he performed here. So Elvis did 3 shows here. He did 2 shows in March of 76, and then his second to last show ever was in this building as well. So a couple fun facts about this building that we learned was in March of 76, during his afternoon show, Elvis's pants ripped, and so there's footage of him leaving the stage and coming back with the rainfall suit. So the afternoon show, he started out with the blue Egyptian. He wore the rainfall for the second half of the show, and then for the evening show also wore the rainfall suit. So it's kind of interesting how that all played out. And then in 77, that was the last time he played Unchained Melody, was in this building.
I'll be coming home. Wait for me, my love, my darling. I hunger for your kiss alone.
Another fun fact that I thought was pretty interesting was when he performed here, all 3 shows, 2 in 76 and the last in 77, Ronnie Tutt was not with him. So every time that Elvis performed in this building, Larry London was the drummer. So Ronnie Tutt never was in this building with Elvis. So that's interesting how that all worked out as well.
Okay guys, what's pretty cool about this is we always try to include where they brought the car in. So down there is the overhead door. They would have brought the car in right here, 76 and 77, obviously. And what's really cool about today's tour is that not the director who was here when Elvis performed here, but a guy went to work on August 17th. You're going to meet him in the video. A guy went to work on August 17th, 1977, who then later became the director. So he knew the director that was here when Elvis was here. And they got on the phone a few days ago and talked about it. And he gave him all the information that he needed to tell us about Elvis's time here. We're going to take you into the dressing room. That's factual information. He was able to confirm the exact room that Elvis was in. We're going to show you the walk up to the stage as we always do. So we just wanted to show you a little bit of the backstage. He had a pretty decent walk from where he got, where he came in, and then when he went to the stage. So we're getting ready to show you that here in just a second.
what you have done. I said, see, right. Oh, see what you have done. Well, you made me love you, and now the man has gone. What I say, well, I'm going away, baby, and I won't back to fall. Going away, baby. see, rise. I said, see, rise. I said, see, rise.
Okay, so here we are inside what was Riverfront Coliseum, and we're really excited right now because, like I tell you guys in a lot of the videos that we do, rarely do we get the chance to work with somebody who was in and around that time, or maybe even was still working during the time that Elvis came through, because it's been so many years ago. But today we're joined by John Trafero, who was, John, tell us a little bit about your story. You said you came in as sales as a very young man.
At age 22, my first day on the job here at Riverfront Coliseum was August 17th, 1977.
So the day
just a week after,
right?
the day after Elvis died. And I came to sell rodeo tickets and circus tickets and ice show tickets to Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, and I was here for 20 years and ended up becoming president of the company that owned the building. But I was here shortly after Elvis's 1977 appearance, and people talked about it, of course, and still do.
Well, and you confirmed a lot of the stuff that we talked about when we were down on the floor, because you actually knew the manager that was here when Elvis was here, so you kind of had conversations with him on the phone about it, right?
Yeah, this is a privately owned building, always was. So many of my co-workers are all gone, but one of the owners of the building confirmed to me where Elvis's dressing room was. They went and met him after the show.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. So one of the things we were just talking about a minute ago, and I tell people this all the time. You know, Michael and I, like I told you earlier, we've been in probably over 100 of these buildings that or in 100 of the cities that Elvis performed in. And one of the things that started jumping out at me early on was seeing how that the people who worked in these buildings, whether it be the director, the GM, whoever, the people that worked down on the floor and stuff like that, they had a relationship with these buildings. Can you just kind of like talk a little bit, because you had just said, you go, oh yeah, this was like family to us. So
it was like family. The people we worked with became family. We worked. There was no such thing as overtime back then.
Right.
Nobody made a lot of money, but you enjoyed what you did.
Right.
We had 150 events a year. Everybody worked every event, and you just didn't go home until 11 o'clock or midnight. And then you came back at 9 o'clock the next day.
Right.
So there were, lots of great acts from Elvis to, bands and family shows and. Like I said, rodeos. Rodeo was a great week. We all had fun during the.
But you kind of, during your career here, you kind of fell in love a little bit with the building.
Of course,
right?
well, you know every inch of it. You can tell stories. I ended up marrying a woman that worked in the box office, and we had a child, and she's 45 years old, and she still has great memories of coming down here. She thought every kid's birthday party was, for Sesame Street or the circus. So. Yeah, it becomes part of your life, and as I said, people worked 70, 80 hours a week and didn't think anything of it, and that's what it took to be in this business.
In all your time here, what was your favorite? You only get to pick one. What was your favorite show that you had a chance to?
That's really, really hard. I think, I'm going to date myself, but everybody remembers this place as all these, big rock shows and everything. But we had somebody brought in Al Hirt and Pete Fountain.
Okay, Al Hirt.
Al Hirt, the trumpeter,
right?
and Pete Fountain played clarinet. And boy, that was a great show.
Right. Yeah. Well, good. John, I want to thank you so much for coming in here and taking time out of your day. I know you got to get on the road and get going, but
it's nice that you guys are doing this for all Elvis's fans. He was a great
that.
one and a great part of the history of this building.
All right, John, thank you so much.
Care.
I appreciate it. Hey guys, as you know, we like to do some extra credit, if you will, on some of these tours that we go on in these buildings. And Michael's going to overlay some video over this to show you when Elvis was handed a note during his March 21st, 1976 show about an emergency that had taken place. And the note that was handed to Elvis read that Carla Mulford needed to report to the first aid station in section 116.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have to make an important announcement. Somebody just handed me a note. It says, Carla Mulford, M-U-L-F-O-R-D, from Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Go to the first aid room at section 116. So I was supposed to make that announcement. You got it? Okay.
So what we thought would be fun, on the way down here we discussed it and thought it would be fun if we could find that first aid station and add it to the video. So what better person to help us find that is the current general manager of the building, Kristen Robb. Yep. And she's been so kind on this tour. And before we do that story, I want to thank you seriously for setting this up. And Sean Lynn was phenomenal. What a professional on the telephone. And we did like what we call like a pre-trip interview and talked. And then he had John come down, and I just thought that was great. So wanted to thank you for that personally.
Our pleasure. Yeah,
and what a beautiful building, I'll say. I mean, Sean had said, and I think you had commented, that it hadn't changed hardly at all, really, since Elvis.
No, not really, not structurally. You know, we've done certainly some aesthetic upgrades.
Right.
All new floors. The building had a major overhaul in '97, so all new seats. Blew out and put all this natural lighting in. All these glass doors that you see now in the concourse were actually all steel, so there was no natural light. And where the overhang lights are now, that was a drop ceiling. So it was a very closed off, kind of dark atmosphere.
Okay.
When we came in and bought it in '96, we renovated it and reopened it in '97 and just brought in all the natural light and put in some more modern amenities, more bathrooms, finished the suite level. But structurally, the bones of it, to your point, are still the same.
Yeah.
And while this is not section 116 anymore, one of the things we did was renumber the seating so it was a little bit easier to find your seats,
right.
To wayfind on your own. The first aid station has always been the same. So it is here now in the modern Heritage Bank Center in section 110, but this would have been the first aid station that patient would have gone to, which is an amazing story because, as Sean and I mentioned to you, I cannot ever imagine an artist stopping a show and reading a note, and it showed a lot of character to Elvis, obviously, of him, but that's just, it's wild, so it's pretty neat.
Well, like I told you down there when we're on the floor, we one thing that we take a great deal of pride in is we don't speculate. You know, I'll never say we don't take a guess maybe here and there, but we don't make it a habit of speculating, well, we're going to speculate that this is the room. We're going to speculate, because then it's like, what's really the point in watching the video if it's full of speculation? If it's all a guess, then what's the point? But anyway, so Elvis was handed that note, and we know now that it was emergency. The little girl was in serious need of medical assistance. At her home in Lawrenceburg. You'll hear Elvis on the film read Lawrenceburg, Indiana, and so the lady had to report here to be escorted home. We had heard by the police, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then after the show, Elvis inquired about it and made a phone call to the lady.
Remarkable.
And what was reported is that he spoke with the lady for about 5 minutes about the well-being of her daughter. So. We could have come in here and went to 116 and not found it. So
no, you definitely wouldn't have found it there, but this is it.
This is where it was. So no speculation here. You put us right on it.
You're in the first aid station.
Again, on behalf of Michael and I, we just want to thank you so much for this.
Thanks for including us in the documentary. It's fascinating work what you're doing. It's important. It's great history. History's fun to go back and watch and relive. And he was remarkable artist and so pivotal in so many modern artists' careers. And you can see that influence in current artists, so it's pretty cool. So good for you guys to do it. Thanks for including us. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for being a part of it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
During our visit, we were fortunate enough to pick up an original seat from Cincinnati Gardens. The gentleman we purchased this from did an amazing job putting floor stands on the chair so it can be displayed in our collection. We'd like to thank the staff at the Riverfront Coliseum, now the Heritage Bank Arena, for giving us an amazing tour and allowing us to speak with them about key details and stories about Elvis's time there. We'd also like to thank the staff at the Netherland Hotel for their countless hours walking us in and around the hotel. From the front desk managers, bellhop, concierge, housekeepers, and workers at the restaurant, everyone was vital in helping us figure out where a lot of Elvis history took place. And a huge shout out to Desmond the security guard. If it weren't for him, we would not have been able to put to rest where many of the Elvis photos were taken of him in the parking garage. It's only fitting that his car was the one that was parked where Elvis's was.
You've been a fantastic audience, and anytime you want us back here in Cincinnati, just let us know and we'll come back, you know.